Hi,
Hello.
we are in for a treat today. We're going to talk about May. Momentum. May momentum. Now, we are going to be going in the midst of a season change here shortly.
Okay.
Yeah, and so many things happen around this time of the year because look, everything that was brown is now has color. It's all come back to life. Um, the sun that's been away from us in April because it's rained so much is now starting to poke out, and now the energy level is off the charts, and you have all this energy to do so many wonderful things. What do you recommend? Because the list is probably this long, especially if we've kind of been inside,
Yeah.
right?
For sure.
What are some things that we could work on as we begin to transition into this May?
Well, again, May is kind of like the beginning months of the summertime. So you
Yeah.
plant, okay? You plant in this the season, so you can have a harvest, right? And so that can go from anywhere in physical planting, outdoors and making your garden look pretty, to also you can do personal gardening. And personal gardening for me is kind of reflecting and seeing the things I need to work on personally. And I know we've talked about personal development. It's a little bit different though, because once you identify some things, and I've been working on that this week,
Identifying,
identifying the things, especially with so much going on. And now with the momentum, you need to like get start and then move. Okay. So if you get started and stop, you're not going to have that momentum for the rest of the summer. So in order for us to do that, for me personally, it's like sitting down, writing on pen and paper, like old school, and writing down what are the things that I need really to work on that's going to benefit the overall summer, winter, next year, whatever. So I'm looking at long term. How am I going to work this thing out?
So we're talking. Are we? We're talking. So we can throw the goal setting in with the idea of being able to kind of what we want to see moving forward. All right. So in a literal sense, for those of us who do plant, and I do plant, I got a lot of topsoil. I got a lot of work to do outside to get in there. But in the time when I'm doing that, I also spend that time in thought and reflecting because it's something about, for me, I'm kinesthetic. I got to touch it and feel it so I can see where I'm going. But when you're out there doing that, I know you write things down, but for me, I'm cleaning out the cobwebs because you're getting rid of the old. You're trying to root out, like even when you're like with my old flower garden, I have to take out all the old, the vines, the old weeds, the old
dead
brown,
stuff.
all the dead things, and then prep the ground so the ground will be ready to receive what the newness is coming out. That's
Right.
kind of like
Yeah.
what we deal with in life, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So we keep it all cleaned out and keep our thoughts and things like that clear and our goals for work or home or in our relationships so that we can
Right.
move forward. How am I doing with that? So I'm
Yeah,
doing good with that?
pretty
Okay.
good, pretty good. Yes, yes,
So
yes.
that momentum, I mean, you get momentum though when you look and you see when you hit milestones, when you
Yeah.
make a headway into
Yeah.
what you're doing, you're like, oh man, okay. Then you're more
Progressive.
motivated to keep going because you're welcoming what's gonna come. You may
Right.
not know,
Right.
but you're open
Yeah.
and you're welcoming in everything that's new.
Yes. Yes.
And so what are some 3 top things that you've identified as you gain momentum and this traction, as you make the surge? What do you do to continue to keep it going so that you don't fall off?
So one of the things I am assessing in myself is relationship building. With that, what it looks like is instead of taking things to heart, like, okay, someone said something to me, instead of coming up with a quick reaction like, oh my goodness, this is what they mean, what I'm doing now, and this is very new, so I asked my daughter to keep me accountable.
This is new.
This is very new. So the thing that I'm looking at is saying, okay, this person says this. Why does that take me off my game? You know, and why does that offend me as an individual? What's inside of me? So you got to look internally. What's inside of me? Why this person just made me mad? So instead of just reflecting it back on them, taking the power back in your own hands. That's hard. It's a lot of concentration.
Yeah, you got
focus.
Yeah. Concentration, focus. Because look, when you're anytime you're out with a new, you are focused on the goal of where you're trying to go. Any little thing can throw you off, like when you're, you know, and think about it, like in physically when you're working, you know, you got all these little things that can be sides. You know, for those of us who like to play in the dirt, the little insects and the little bugs that come along and kind of eat along, or they make a lot of holes in places that you just leveled out, and now I got to go back. So I'm thinking, do I really got to go back and fix all of what I just laid that out? I got to go back, but before you can move forward to lay your ground or to put your seeds in, you know, to lay it. You got to make sure that you get all the things out there, the pesky insects, the bad stuff, the bad little roots that lay underneath there, because you can pop it off or cut it, and then right below, if you don't pull it from the root, weeds grow fast.
Yes,
Weeds, those people that garden, you know what I mean. Weeds, they can kill the life out of anything that you plant that's positive, because they grow so quickly.
Right.
So when somebody is saying things or doing things, you can, I can see that. It comes up so quickly that you got to have a way to be able to react to that to be able to move forward. So it can impact momentum.
Yeah,
I see that.
So one of the things that I have a story, but one of the things that you have to do once you have identified that problem or that thing is to see, well, why does that thing keep bothering you? So I have a story. I just heard this actually on the podcast I was listening to. But there's a store owner that has a dog, right?
Okay.
And the dog was sitting on a nail. So a customer comes in and this dog is sitting on the nail. And the dog's crying and crying, and the customer says, why is this dog crying? He says, because he's sitting on the nail. And he says, why won't he just get up off the nail? And so he says, because it must not hurt too bad, so he's still sitting on the nail. So the thing is, we have identified things in our lives, but we still sit on it, and it bothers us so much, we don't do anything about it but complain, nag, or whatever else comes along with it, have a bad day. So again, we have to identify what that looks like. If you're sitting on this nail, get up off the nail and go do something about it. And then build momentum and continue to do it, and not just stay back and look back and just water on your mess.
Yeah, that's really good. I think it goes back to the key of just trying to, again, going back to identify it. Sometimes you don't even know.
Right.
You know, you might even know you're hurting or something's not right, but you might not even know the source.
The source. Yeah.
Other people might be able to come and identify your source, but they may not. Here, let me say this. I'm not a fantastic gardener or anything like that. I am novice. I've got some neighbors that that are really in there. But I like it. I really like it. I like just being in the sun. There's something about being outside and being one with nature. And being out, I don't know, I love being out there, just feeling the breeze. My thoughts come to me a lot more clear, and when I'm touching the soil. But I was thinking about what you were saying, and that's such a good point, that there are so many things that can, a lot of times when you're so immersed into what you're doing, you don't see it because you're entrenched in whatever's going on, but what does help out, like another person that can come alongside of you, like so if I'm I'm gonna stay on this gardening because I'm gonna stay on this main momentum. So I'm like, I see I see it's not sunflower, but I see what my end result's gonna be. I know what I want it to be, but and so I have my little tools, and I'm prepping around, your tools in your belt, and I got all my little gardening tools, but my other person who's really good at that, it's good to keep people in your around you who are like-minded, or
Yes.
who can help you develop where you're trying to go.
Yes.
And that's what I see, because even though I'm excited,
Yeah.
or maybe not feeling good, because I am sitting on something that's blocking me, that other person's vision,
Right.
they can see what I can't see,
Right.
and they are the ones that's going to help me, like a teammate.
Yeah. So you have to be willing to also learn. You have to be willing to accept change.
Yeah.
And some of us don't want to accept change. That's why we're still in the way, wherever we are in that same predicament. Okay. And so we will identify it. Sometimes we identify, but also we're too afraid to move. And so again, with the story with the dog sitting on the nail, maybe the dog was afraid to move. So it could be multiple circumstances that's happening. The situation is, once you have someone that can help you identify it, have a goal. Have a plan. How do you move forward? And how do you navigate those things? Again, you're going to fall back. But get back up. And that's where the momentum comes in, because it's not going to be one and done. There's no one that can just do one and done, because everything is progress and that builds up to perfection.
But in momentum, like everything, as you see yourself moving, you want to keep going. But you said something that was kind of cool. I don't think that we necessarily always see that fallback as a point of momentum, but you need to, because you do. You're gonna. It's like when something grows, and at some point it extinguishes, you get a burst. So you're gonna naturally grow, and at some point you burst,
You're gonna fly.
and then you have to go back, and then and then the process starts all over again.
Right.
So I love the main momentum, the idea that we're still moving on, and as caretakers, because in the work that we do, it is really nice to be reminded of how impactful the work is, because again, you are inundated with things you got to do all day, every day for another individual. And unfortunately, sometimes the only thing that we see is the things that don't work well. That we get a barrage of things that don't work every day. What it's not working. This is why. And so your mindset has to be, okay, how am I going to solve? How can I? Or even if I can, or maybe I can't. But just kind of knowing where you're at, that really does help.
And it also helps to focus with the end in mind. Okay, so again, it's not about everything that we do. What is the impact for the greater good? So situations have come up the last few weeks for us, still happening. And so me as a leader, I have to think of what's the bigger picture for the multitude, where by myself, I probably would have crumbled and said, I give up. But that's not an option. So again, I'm speaking from the experience that, that is going on around me. And so that's why assessing each situation, everything now that comes to me, I'm assessing each situation and see how do I get better, and how I get stronger, and how I keep moving and momentum. And so this topic right here is dear, because I've had to think of how do I keep pushing forward, even in the times of despair, in the times of, what else, what else can I do? So that's kind of why May is good, because it matches the May momentum, but it is the season also that I'm in too, and possibly multi other people, just to see how do you navigate when difficult situations come upon.
Yeah, there are many, there are numerous, and they are, in some instances, I think you said something, I think that's when that, and that's why fallback really is not necessarily, I don't see that as a negative. I really don't. Sometimes it gives you an opportunity, because when you go back, you're gonna what are you gonna do? As soon as you go back and sit, you're gonna have to take time to reflect, because you gotta go. It's like a reset.
It's a lesson.
Right?
It's a lesson.
Yeah, you're gonna. It's what? Okay, how am I gonna get this so I can move to the next space? So it's really all a part of it. I wanted to share something because one thought that you said made me think of this. When you are sharing thoughts of activity and momentum, because everybody's at a different place in the journey. And as we journey through, especially leaders, as leaders are in a different place, but everybody I think can relate to this because you're leading in some way, in some capacity.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
Tavis Smiley, who was a great commentator for a long time at BET, said, "You are a leader. You are a leader in your home. You are a leader,
Yes.
not a designated, appointed, necessarily organizational leader, but you know, we take if you see yourself as moving a person who's a leader in their home." On a job, in a family, as you're moving, like to get a cohesiveness with the people that you're around, with whom with you're growing with, and living and learning with, you're a leader.
Yes.
And so, with that being said, there are some individuals, and I can even see this sometime in me. You just have to know when is your time and when is your season, and that's a real. I think that comes with time and wisdom.
For sure.
I really do. Like, I'm better. I know I'm better today than I was 5 years ago, but you know, only thing is I'm probably a little slower. My body's slower, but my mind is sharp as a tack.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, but you got to get people with you to understand that and go and grow.
Yeah.
And then what happens when they don't want to?
You leave those people behind. And you keep going, because not everybody's gonna be there for you, and so you have to identify people that are like-minded, so you can get on their bandwagon and they get on your bandwagon, and just kind of push each other. Because again, it's better in the greater in the numbers versus you by yourself.
Absolutely, it's strength in numbers.
When you was talking about the situation, you said you're getting better. So I got another story for you. I just heard that too.
The dog.
No, the dog, not the dog. So there's another story.
Okay,
so there's a man, he had a vision, right? The vision from God. He told him to go ahead and move this stone. And move this stone every day. It's a stone he physically has to go move, okay? So the man goes out, move the stone. Every day he's moving the stone. Every day he's moving the stone. 3 months went by. He's still moving the stone. Of course, the stone ain't going nowhere. So he says, I'm done. After probably 6 months, he's done moving this stone because it's not going anywhere. And then he comes back and says, Lord, this stone didn't move. You told me to move the stone. The stone is not moving. And the Lord says, who told you to stop moving the stone? He says, well, because it's not doing anything. He says, have you noticed how you've gotten stronger? You've gotten wiser. You've learned lessons. As you move in this stone, you did not acknowledge these things. He says, I didn't tell you to go. He said, push the stone. I'm telling it wrong. Push the stone, not move the stone. And then the Lord says, I didn't tell you to move the stone. You can't move the stone because it was such a great stone. He's just telling you to push the stone. So every time you do something, you're developing momentum according to the things that you're trying to work on. And you're probably getting stronger. You go into the gym, you start with the 5-pound weights, and then you end up, I can lift 10 pounds now. Oh, look, 15. So that's the momentum.
Yes,
he didn't say you're going to lift 50 on day one, you know, and so it's a progression, but sometimes we don't see it that way. You know, guys say, go push this thing, go do it again. You're like, nothing's happening, you know. But again, the moral of the story is the more you do it, the repetition that you do it, the better you're going to eventually get, you know. You're not probably going to, you know, do grand things, big things in life, but you probably can even do something you've never done before. So that's another story.
Yeah, that's fun.
The momentum story.
I actually like that. I like that. Let me. I'm gonna share this story. I don't know if this is gonna help anybody, but I have in my yard. I have a chain link fence, so I clean the fence line. If anybody they get out and work in the yard, I clean my fence line, right? But in cleaning the fence line. When I saw the weeds coming back in, because I like to walk, and I remember just coming in, and I was like, and I looked down, and I'm talking like they weaved through, and I saw the weeds come up like this high, and I was thinking, already, you know, like I just it took me. It was broken down in projects. It took me days,
right?
But I have to go back down at the base. Not the height. I have to go back down to the base to clip the base to keep it from growing. So I'll look and go, those weeds.
Yeah.
Those weeds.
So you have to prune.
Yeah, you do. And the thing, and you know what? it's continuous.
Yes.
Right. So even though, you're like, I just did all that, you got to go back and that motivation to come back and start over, do it again. And so it is really a work. And so I liken that into the work that we do all the time. We are caregivers are always providing for the people that they love, the in homes, the ones who sometimes don't even feel like what I do
matters.
It just it doesn't matter because I'm not valued. The work that I do isn't valued. Caring for another human being is probably one of the greatest gifts. It's a great I love it. I liken it to having that compassion. It is a beautiful, beautiful service. Is people talk often about servant leadership. Servant leadership is the individual who is, I'm gonna go first. I'm going to lead by example. I'm going to ask questions tomorrow, right? I'm just going to move.
That's like the Bible verse. The first will be the last.
Oh, first. Okay. Yeah. There we go. That's really good.
Well, Jesus wants us to be servants, so that's what he came to do. So yeah, that's kind of what our mindset is.
And so those who are in the caregiving industry, or who are public servants, any people who are working in public in any capacity, but again, it could be those working at homes, or it doesn't necessarily mean a formal title, but those people who are working in their community to make it better. In any capacity that you are working, I think I love what you say, and just move. I love that. I really do. I love that that idea of moving, because in movement, that is a momentum. What happens? You're a nurse, nurse. What happens when we don't move? What's the physically? Let's talk about that. When we don't move.
If you don't move, you're gonna lose that. So they say use it or lose it. So say you're bedbound and you've been bedbound. If you don't get up and move, guess what? You can't walk anymore. Or vice versa. If you're supposed to be doing your therapy exercises and supposed to move your arms, you just stop doing it, you're gonna get contractures. So again, movement is just generalize. You got to move your body, you got to move your mind. If you don't move your mind, if you don't read or do puzzles, guess what? Eventually mind's going to deteriorate, and you're not going to remember things, and you're like, what's wrong with me? Well, you didn't exercise that mind. It's a muscle. So anything that you can move, just move it.
Move it.
Even if you move slow, like you said, you move slow down.
My mind is rolling.
As long as you're moving.
My mind is there. My mind is right there. My body just
move. Yes.
It doesn't move with the mind. I'm like,
and it's okay. It's okay. Because
changes with time. They didn't tell me that.
You're not gonna be racing all the time. You can walk too. It's fine.
Yeah. But I do like I love what you just shared, that in that idea of movement. Keep moving and celebrate that movement. And those individuals who are out there working, even when you don't feel like it, keep on moving.
Keep on moving,
because there's something in that movement. There's something that is in the movement that can be your biggest revelation that you need to continue to keep moving forward. But if you don't get up and move, you'll miss it. You'll lose it. You won't have those sharp thoughts that you once had, or with your minds. Because we do exercise our mind. We exercise our bodies. We exercise just all of the ideas even of what we have to keep us moving forward in life each day.
For sure.
And so being surrounded by those who are like-minded do help out. And then sometimes even the ones that aren't, because they still gonna make you move your muscles. Okay, they'll make you
if they're not like-minded, they're gonna work your mind. So you might as well find someone else to work your mind.
Yeah. So I don't see it as like a negative.
All right.
It's just how you are able to divert that energy and move it.
For sure.
So I love the topic of main momentum. Thank you so much. What a great topic. I appreciate that, being able to prepare in preparation, and you use the word identifying what it is,
and make it intentional after
and
that.
And being intentional. Oh, 2 eyes there.
Yeah.
Identifying and then being intentional in your movement. And that right there is a cause to celebrate, to keep you going. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. That's so good today. That is so good. So at Courageous Home Care, we have a lot of individuals who are moving each day, hopefully with intention, right, and with identified purpose. But those who are not, we can remind them of that. And those people that want to get in contact with Courageous Home Care, can you share that information?
Yes, Courageous Home Care. We're located at 300 Southwest Knoll in Lee Summit, Missouri. Our phone number is 816-699-2352. You may like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube page channel. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Well, we thank you again so much for Momentum. And any final closing thoughts for those individuals who are a little sluggish?
Kind of like how I came in. It's been a long day.
I think she would share that, but yeah.
I know, I didn't mean to share that. But anyway, when you're sluggish, you know what I would do? I just keep praying and keep plucking my word, pray and pluck. That's my logo, my slogan. Okay.
That is my slogan.
And then just keep upbeat, think of the end in mind, the end goal in mind.
Thank you, Mr. Dean, so
You're
much.
welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you all for hanging out with us today.
Yes.
And thank you so much, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah.